Hello there. How are you doing today? I'm doing really well. It is raining cats and dogs outside, so I figured I would record some videos for you guys. So I've been training here at my home gym in a high intensity style for a little bit over 2 years now, and so I have to get pretty creative in order to push my muscles to muscular failure without dropping weights or crushing myself. And so whether you always train to failure high intensity style, or whether you use failure a little bit more sparingly in your training, or whether you just want some fresh new ideas to spice up your training and programming, I got you. So to be clear, in this video, I'm talking about safety in terms of not dropping weights and causing accidental damage to your home, not about avoiding overuse injuries or muscle tears or things like that. Of course, you want to train smart and auto-regulate in order to minimize your risk of exercise-related injury, but that's a topic for another video. So first of all, the most obvious way in order to train safely to failure is to use equipment that is designed for that purpose. Meaning like power racks with the safety pins, machines that are designed to not put you at risk of dropping weights on yourself, or have a training buddy in the gym give you a spot when you need it most. But you already know that, and I think you clicked on this video because you're interested in some more creative ways, whether because you train at a home gym or because you don't have any friends, or you just want to get a little bit more clever when it comes to taking things to failure. So I'll go through various different strategies for failing safely, and then in the B-reel, you'll be able to watch numerous examples from my training applying these principles. You'll see that many of these exercises utilize multiple of these ideas in one big Franken exercise. So let's get into it. Principle number one is to move the weight closer to the ground. If the weight's closer to the ground, it has less farther to fall, and it's generally going to be more stable. So the first way I really like to do this is by using the Zercher hold for most of my lower body movements. The Zercher hold is where you hold the barbell on the crook of your elbows as opposed to a front rack position or a back rack position like you might use in a back squat. And it turns out that holding the barbell like this is just a lot less technical for most lower body movements. By having the bar closer to your body center of mass, it just makes the squat a little bit less technical. And if you're a person who's ever done a set of squats and then just found yourself slightly out of the groove and either failed a rep or really had to grind it just due to poor technique, then this one can be a really good way to get around that. I find that I'm able to push Zercher squats quite a bit harder than I can back squats because I just don't feel like it's folding me over in the bottom position. Not only that, but if you have sufficient mobility, you can sort of do a reverse Zercher deadlift to put the weight back on the ground, or you can do a full reverse Zercher cycle in order to put the weight on the ground. One way to apply the concept of moving the weight further to the ground for pressing movements is to simply just turn them upside down. So for example, the bench press is obviously a great exercise, but one of the problems is that if you don't have safety pins or a spotter, you can easily get trapped under the bar. But if you turn that exercise upside down, then you get, of course, the humble push-up. And then you can just train a very similar horizontal pushing motion by doing weighted push-ups. The advantages to these for pushing to failure are numerous, as I'll discuss later, but in particular, if you load the movement using a dip belt, then the weight will never be far from the floor. The second strategy is to use exercises where you can assist with extra limbs when you fail. So in practice, basically all calisthenics compound movements work well for this. So pull-ups, dips, push-ups, and rows. When you hit failure in these movements, you can pretty much always use another body part to help you safely come out of the movement. When you're doing dips and you're stuck in that bottom position, you can just put your feet on the ground and then your legs are more than strong enough in order to support your weight. Same thing happens with weighted push-ups. When I reach the bottom of the weighted push-up and I can't move anymore, all I have to do is pick my legs up and put them below me, and suddenly the weight becomes light. For the lower body, sissy squats and Nordic curls are two good examples for this. In both of these, you can work the movements completely to failure, and then when you finally fail, all you have to do is allow your hips to bend and touch the ground with your hands, and you're good to go. Strategy number three is to just try to get more out of less weight. And so back to our bench press example, even if you're someone like me who's not very strong in pressing movements, your working weights on the bench will probably be relatively heavy, or at least too heavy to roll off of your body. So when I'm working on the bench, my working weights would be more than my body weight. But if I incline the bench to 45 degrees, then suddenly the working weight for my sets is less than my body weight. And the 45-degree incline means that when I fail, I can just sort of roll it and like hop it down to my hips and then just stand up with the weight. So I can go to failure with no spotter and no safety bars without getting trapped underneath the bar. Eventually, I'll probably get strong enough that this is unfeasible, but for now, I don't need to worry about that. And when I'm doing squats, I'm not doing them powerlifting style. Well, of course, that's a great way to get strong. It's designed to allow you to move the most weight. So instead, I kind of want to do the opposite of that. So often I'll do more of a cyclist squat thing where I elevate my heels, keep my legs fully together, go all the way down until my hamstrings are resting on my calves, pause at the bottom, and then stand back up. All of that doing a Zercher hold. Each one of these small modifications slightly reduces the amount of absolute load you're able to lift. And so as a result, I end up using less weight and having less weight in my arms when I do get really, really tired. So the fourth and final strategy I use is simply using drop sets in order to hit failure. And this kind of gives me a compromise where I can still do those primary exercises where I actually wanted to get better at, that I really want to be training without sacrifice, but I save actually hitting failure for the drop set afterwards. So I absolutely love this one for squats. What I'll usually do is do a working set of squats to like RPE 8 or 9 to where it's very challenging, but my back's not giving out and I'm not about to drop the weight. Then I'll rack the bar, take a few breaths, and immediately do a drop set of a bodyweight squat variation. So the two I like to cycle through are either sissy squats or like a partial range of motion VMO squat. And I think this drop set is just absolutely fantastic because sissy squats on their own are an extremely effective exercise, but they can be kind of tricky to set up where you can balance well and effectively load them to your level of difficulty. But if you just do a heavy set of barbell squats beforehand, you have that perfectly tuned to whatever weight you want. When you start your set of sissy squats, you're going to be very close to failure already, so it only takes a few seconds to finally get there. Plus, these feel absolutely amazing, and it helps increase the stimulus on your rec fem compared to just squats alone. I do this exact same strategy for the range of motion split squat. So even though this movement isn't very heavy on my back compared to like a back squat, the setup I use for it is quite rickety using a cooler and a bench. And so I'd rather not fall off of the cooler into the full splits. So instead, I just rack the bar when I'm decently tired and then go immediately into sissy squats. Hopefully some of these examples will give you inspiration for your own training. The idea is to just be creative and have fun with it here. There are no rules on how you have to train or what constitutes an exercise, and there are always ways to make slight modifications from your favorite effective exercises in order to make them more suitable for whatever equipment you have, wherever you are, and whatever you like to do. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Let's get strong for life together. Peace.